Greetings, Sir and Sirettes, and welcome back to Minecraft with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to our little redstone corner, where at the moment we're trying to learn the very basics of redstone contraptions. We have our auto kelp farm, our melon farm, and our chicken farm. And today, as you can probably tell, we're going to be building our bamboo farm. The reason is we can combine the bamboo farm and the kelp farm to make an auto smelter, which will produce dried kelp. The dried kelp can then be either simply devoured, which is lovely, or we can use it as a fuel block itself. Now, we can, of course, just use the bamboo as fuel, since we are already using the bamboo to dry the kelp, but here's the thing, it is horrendous to try and use, because although you get loads and loads of bamboo very easily, and it is like the most satisfying thing in the world to break, it kinda burns through incredibly quickly, so you need loads of these per item, and that's just inefficient for space. So instead, we're simply compacting everything down, and you get a little bit of experience when you collect the kelp from either the smoker or the furnace. The smoker being a new item, which I've only just found out about and absolutely love. Now, off camera, I've been a little bit busy. I've cleaned up the redstone back here, so now we have only one line of redstone and everything still works just fine, so we have some more redstone back in our inventory, which is lovely, and I've also cleaned up some things inside the other two farms, but nothing really major. So today, what I want is the bamboo farm here. Once again, we are going for the bare minimum, absolutely tiny farm, because A, I think it's adorable, and B, we're doing this more just to learn the basics rather than have something really efficient that will come way later. And then I want to connect that up to this, so we have it always automatically funneling in. Now, I have no idea really how that works, so I'm going to learn all of that as we continue. Oh yeah, kelp keeps getting stuck, so it turns out the hopper blocks themselves can be a little bit weird, but eventually that will go into the hopper. So far, not one piece of kelp has just vanished, so either it's a visual glitch, which I don't really think it is, or it eventually goes inside. Actually, let's test that out. Is that a visual glitch, yes or no? No, it's not. So the reason for that is just because we have the hopper directly on the water there. If we wanted to fix that, we'd simply have some solid blocks there, and then all of the kelp would always go up and then over. So that's something really easy to fix later. Right now, I can't be bothered. Now, I'm also aware you can make farms called zero-tick farms. Now, I haven't really looked those up that much, but I do realise they are absolutely phenomenal for getting loads of resource in a very small place. And that is something I will be building next. At the moment, though, I want to see how far I can get without looking things up properly. Right now, I'm still going on just trial and error, trying to learn all by myself, and so far I think I've done okay, considering no major outside influence, outside of the odd comment. For instance, clearing up the redstone was very much based on comments, so thank you very much on that, and you know, I feel okay about that. But soon we're going to get to the level where it would just be silly if I didn't look up other content creators such as Mumbo and so many others who do some seriously fantastic redstone work. And that was my dirt collecting thoughts. Satisfaction in 3, 2, 1. I had only planted all of these, so I wanted to see how fast they would grow, and my god, in like one day cycle, some of these were basically max size. Dear God, that is terrifying. There we are. Even the missed ones have been destroyed. Now, here's the thing. I have no idea how you are supposed to get an item from a lower position to a higher position. It's very easy to get them to move downwards using the hoppers, but how do you get them to go up? So that's something I don't know, and if I looked it up, I'd find out in 2 seconds, but I've got one idea, which I think would be interesting. So we use a dropper, which is also adorable, and then we simply drop an item into a source block sort of elevator. Now, I know you can do this using soul sand, but I don't know about just this. I think it should work to have a simple redstone clock feeding into it, so it's constantly throwing stuff, and then the item floats to the top, and then we can have it collected in a hopper, and then transported to the furnaces. Right. Question mark. But first, we need some sand. We now have sand. So the bamboo farm is going to work basically identically to this. So we're going to have the bamboo along in a line, then we're going to have pistons at some point, and then higher up we'll have observers. So that is absolutely fine. Then we'll just have a water source here, pushing the water along, and then we'll figure out how that can get to the top. So, something like this then. So we have the bamboo here, which then gets pushed into the water, which it thinks is very rude. It then goes into the item hopper, which it's just confused about, and then it gets pushed into the dropper, which it's just absolutely mind-blown about. After that, we'll have a redstone circuit constantly activating the dropper, which is facing upwards, so it will drop the bamboo above it into a water source block, and that will go whee all the way up an elevator, and then it will go across into this section, which will have the auto furnace. I think that should work, depending on how the dropper functions. Pigthrix disagrees with me, apparently. Hey, Pigthrix. You really can use observers with very little redstone, can't you? Observer, that will be able to power that, which should activate the pistons. Lovely. So we just continue to build like this at the back. And yes, I'm aware a lot of people get very annoyed when you build things like redstone on cobble or dirt, because it does become a little bit difficult to figure out where you've actually built your redstone. If I ever dig this out, it will probably damage it. But honestly, I'm not planning on really redoing these farms once they're created. I will be creating better ones later on instead. Or at least, that's the basic concept. And all this will eventually be hidden as well, since I want this corner to look nice, but right now we're just adding the internals first. Essentially the opposite to how we've done the house. Okay, let's make sure that works. Bamboo grows so quick. Yep, that definitely works, and there it all goes. Fantastic. Honestly, we don't even need this wall, but we've built walls everywhere else, so why not? Should make sure none of it gets thrown too far. So I've been thinking to myself, how do I want to set up the dropper? And the main problem I have is just this. Although this works absolutely fine, that noise will drive me mad. So we need some way to turn off this clock. Now, of course, this really simple clock here can be turned off by simply removing the power source. So what we could do, there we are, is just have it set up so that we have a comparator directly attached to the dropper, so only when there's enough items does it activate a clock, which then causes the dropper to drop items, which then removes the items, which then stops the clock. And thus, I don't go mad. Now, the only issue is with that, the comparator gives a different strength depending on how many items are actually in there. So, for the first few harvests, it's just going to be stacking up items. Which really isn't such a big deal, and I could even just load it with bamboo when I first place it. So actually, that's not a problem. It only causes an issue for the first stack or two, and after that, it works fine. There's probably an easier way to do this, but this is the way I understand. And so, that's what we're going to use. I'll just try and set it up over here properly, and then we'll install it over there. Oh look, the bamboo's almost ready for its first harvest. That was quick. Well, one problem instantly solved. If I add a repeater, yep, that magnifies the strength greatly. Which means as soon as there's a single item in there, we can instantly activate the clock. Well, there we go then. That's going to be really easy to set up now, isn't it? Now, I understand I can make this much smaller. I just laid it out like this so I could understand what was going on. There we are. Perfect. I love comparators. When I start reading up on these, like properly reading up on them, I feel like you can make some seriously fun things. Also, I now realise I could probably just have the water going into a section, which would then allow it to go into a source block, and thus go up all by itself without the need of the dropper. But once again, I am trying to learn, so I am going about things in quite weird ways, because I actively want to learn certain mechanics, and I want to see how the dropper works, and that sort of clock, which can be turned off and on, based on how many items something has. Oh, look. Some of the bamboo is stuck. However, most of it has been harvested. That's annoying, though. How do we fix that? I don't think there really is a way, is there? Because that's just how pistons kind of throw items sometimes. In the kelp farm, it's not an issue because there's water source blocks. The water forces that kelp up anyway, but in this case... yeah, that could be an issue. That could actually be a proper issue. So, will a hopper collect an item through a full block? The answer is no. So that hopper there is not collecting from on top of there, which makes sense to me. So, how do we grab those items? I think there might be a way using the hopper minecart system, but I haven't looked that up, so that's something I'll test out next time. For now, I'm okay with the loss. I'll figure out a solution later. Honestly, the thing we're doing today is more this section. Please work. Beautiful. You're all floating up, right? Okay. Right, good. Okay, you scared me then for a second. I think it's because they're all just stacking up, which then moved them down. So then all I need is a little track at the top, which then takes it over here. Really happy with that. And here we go. Let's see it in action. So happy with that. Bamboo goes up, bamboo gets fed into smoker. Nice and easy. Now, when it comes to having multiple furnaces all being shared with the hopper system, I don't quite know how to get it to work without one being filled first. So that's something I'll test out between episodes, and I'll try and come back to that later. Right now, I just want this functioning. As soon as this is functioning, I would say, today, I am happy. So now we just need a hopper on top. And I don't need all of this section anymore, do I? No, because the water's going to be able to get there by itself anyway. Okay. How... I don't have anything to say. There we go, it's working. Now I have added loads of kelp to the system, that's why it's massively outnumbering the bamboo at the moment, but still... There it is. Now, one thing I've noticed is that kelp gives an insanely low amount of experience. So if you listen carefully, you may hear experience here. But I didn't see it on the experience bar. That's how little I just got. So I'm very tempted to just fully automate this, add one more hopper underneath to a chest, and then there we go. We've got a chest which will constantly be filled with dry kelp. And then the dried kelp can be converted into dried kelp blocks, which are much, much more efficient, at least in terms of per block. Now, of course, we are using a fuel to create this, so I don't know how efficient it really is, but in terms of just use, it's so much better to use. A bit less infuriating, honestly. Lovely. Now, the bamboo will run out because, again, I've added loads of kelp to the system, but hopefully... in time, we'll see which one of these is producing more. But look how much bamboo is getting stuck. Yeah, we need to fix that. That is unacceptable. Are you stuck in there forever? I honestly think you might be. Okay, what I want to do now is get in there and stone that up, because right now it looks horrible. We could save you. We're not going to, though. As I mine away for some cobble, it occurs to me that now furnaces do remember how many things you've smelted in them, so I think you can have it so it feeds into a chest, and then you occasionally take out one item or something, and then you get all the experience. Or something like that, anyway. And then loads of this rubbish. I mean, it's not hideous, but... to me, it looks like... I don't know, it looks like a slab with a bit of mould on it. Or bird poop. Or really bad melting ice cream. I don't know, I just don't like the tile in general. Which is a shame, really, since you get it everywhere. I mean, it does have a bit of a polished look to it, but... yeah, not something I'm going to really use. And it is everywhere. Okay, I need to eat melons faster. So on the upside, our food supplies are doing great. Oh, we have 2 dried kelp, and we are out of bamboo. So yeah, bamboo is definitely, at the moment, the slower of the 2. Just because how much you need per kelp, and the fact we are losing so much, which is just being dropped on the wrong tile. So, I'm afraid I am all out of time for today's video. This is being recorded very soon after the last video, in a bit of spare time I had. But honestly, I think I'm going to consider this a prototype. This is not the finished design, I am not happy at all with how many blocks simply get stuck, and I do need to create more bamboo, otherwise this whole system is kind of worthless. It is definitely still making dried kelp. Whilst I was sleeping, we've now got 7 more pieces, so you know, it does definitely produce enough dried kelp to keep going and give us unlimited fuel. But it's horribly inefficient even for me, although it does have a trapped villager, which is kind of hilarious. I mean, that's certainly a good plus there. So what am I going to do? I think I'm going to look up the zero tick farms straight after this video, but also I'm going to look into ways to have something similar to this, without getting things stuck all the time. And of course, if you have any suggestions, then tell me in the comments below. But with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that Minecraft is a series you wish to see continued in the future. Naturally, the phone goes off before I finish my thoughts. So, today, what we have learned is item elevators, we have learned the basic concept of hoppers connecting to each other and to the furnaces, and overall, lots of little things coming together to actually have a functional end product. With these things in mind, I can definitely build something better in the future yet again. So, although I don't know how much of this work will last after this episode, I think it was a good learning episode, which is kind of the whole point of this series. And it was ridiculously fun. So, thank you again for watching, and goodbye. And you? Well, hope you like bamboo, bud.